G'day guys, welcome to GJBricks. I'm Greg. Now today I am going to be doing a Lego City Space review. This is a follow-up to the Launchpad one I did a while back, which is linked in the corner, this one I think. And that is going to be, I'm going to have to read this one out because it's a long one. The Rocket Assembly and Transport, set number 60229. This one, I got this one a while back in one of the sales. I think I may have mentioned this one, and I was really looking forward to it. I just really have not had time to do it. So this is going to become part of the Studsburg Spaceport. Again, if you haven't seen those videos, there's a link in the corner here where I show you one of the modifications I've made to the previous set, and this will contribute to it. So let's have a look at the box and get into it, open it, and then I'll give you my review and thoughts on this set afterwards. This is set 60229, and it's been a popular set. It seems to sell out in the shops quite quickly. A lot of the shops I've looked in recently never have this set. They do have a few of the Launchpad sets still in stock, and I can understand why they don't. There's a lot going on in this that's really, really appealing. You've got a garage over here where they're doing testing on the moon buggies, and I know that lifts up and down. You've got a car here. You've got launch control over here. You've got this massive vehicle moving a massive rocket here. This is actually the launch system as well in this one, and you've got this gantry crane, which is quite unique. I haven't seen it done that way before, with these rather massive pieces here. So it's a good looking set from the off. I find it a little bit strange that there's no actual launch tower, and what I am keen to find out when I open this is it actually compatible with the other launch set? Would make sense that it is, but I have a feeling it's not. Now, looking at these connectors here, these are compatible with the other one, so you can very much take pieces from the other rocket and build this into something bigger. I think that's a good idea. I like the fact you get this kind of shuttle thing here. Now, one thing that's not clear on this one is this a deep space rocket or not? The other rocket was called a deep space rocket. This one isn't, even though it's got more rockets. So go figure. Maybe you have to combine all of them to get the deep space rocket. Who knows? Maybe it's got warp factor. Anyway, I'm rambling. You get a robot as well here. Not a little lunar landscape like we got in the other set. Let's just turn it around and have a look on the side. First of all, very slightly, you get a whole raft of minifigures. 2 astronauts again. You've got your launch controller, scientist, guy working down there, your mechanics, your robot. You get this cool drill, kind of like the Curiosity rover. It's pretty cool. And then round back we can really see the engine of how this thing works. This is a big old rocket here. We've got the moon buggy going in there, so this is definitely designed to go somewhere like perhaps Mars. As Lego said in their publications, it is based sort of on a lot of the NASA work that's being done. You can see the launch system here. I do, however, feel that NASA probably wouldn't be launching from a vehicle like this. They'd actually have a proper launch gantry. But we'll see. I like the fact that you can load up the rocket here like that. I like the packaging. I think this is well done. It shows the play features well. I like how they've shown it exploded. I think that's a nice touch. And given it this kind of almost Thunderbird type logo down there, I think that's really cool. I do like how Lego's branded this one. So let's open it up and see what is inside this box. It's a heavy box, so there's going to be a lot in here. Let's slit the side here and get into it. There we go. Always careful with my boxes because I am a box keeper. Even if I don't put the Lego back into it, I do like to leave my Lego out on display, although some sets do go back into the box out of necessity more than anything because I'm running out of space. So what have we got? Big base plate. Here's our instruction manual. Looks like there are 5 instruction books in there, possibly. Nope, 7 instruction books and 1 sticker sheet that I can see. And bonus points, the sticker sheet is flat, guys. The sticker sheet is flat. How many bags of bits we got here? So, you haven't seen sets like this before. You get a bag of extra bits like this. These are kind of the unusual parts. So we got the legs. It's not actually a numbered bag, that one. So we've got bag 1, with another bag. Oh no, bag 11, bag 1. So it looks like 11 bags of bits. Look at that, that is a fair chunk of Lego. Oh, there's another one of those unnumbered bags with special bits in it. So lots and lots of really cool pieces in this set. There's some roller coaster in here as well somewhere. So yeah, I'm going to get on with building this, and I will see you on the flip side for my review of it. There's actually so much in this set, it doesn't fit on my table. So I've done my best to shoehorn everything in here. You can see everything that goes into this set. So you've got the command center here, you've got the the tractor unit with the launch rocket on top there, you've got the crane for loading up on the back, you've got the rover maintenance bay there, you've got the truck for carrying the rover, you've got the really cool little rover here, and then you've got a good selection of 7 minifigures and the robot there. So yeah, there's a lot that went into this. In terms of the build, it was mostly fun. I did really enjoy putting it together, especially the lab over here was really good, and the actual launch vehicle is very impressive. This whole unit, the rocket, the vehicle underneath is excellent, and this crane surprised me. So let's start to go through each of the builds, and I will be as quick as I can because this is a big set and I don't want this to be a massively long review. I'll start with the easiest thing to go through, and that is the lorry for transporting the rover from the lab to the rocket. Not a huge amount to write home about. It's a fairly kind of standard lorry, quite a long nose. You get one of these grapple arms that you've seen, very articulated, which is pretty cool. Good mechanism there, moves around easily. I like that they put a bit of detail on the side here, but otherwise really not a lot to write home about. I mean, you've got this bumper on the front, nice sticker there. There were quite a few stickers in this set, some of which were repetitive, but on the whole not too bad. So I'm gonna move on from that one quickly. As you can see, you can make your own mind up on that one. It was a fairly simple build, fairly sort of standard generic lorry from Lego. Next we'll do the rover. Look at that, what a cute little dude that is. He's got the eyepieces there, he's got the drill that comes down there, he's got the sampling pan on the back there, solar panels. So very thoughtful put together there. The 6 wheels, no sort of attempt to do any kind of suspension in there, which I don't blame them. It's a very small build, I wouldn't be room for it. And then there's a hook in the middle, which you'll see in a minute is for loading it into the rocket. But it's a nice build. I like the way this went together, and I will say this bit at the front here is very clever the way it's put together. It's a modified tile there with a single stud in the middle, and then these two offset, and then similar on the back, and then just the slope behind it holding it all in place. So it's very solid. It looks really flimsy at first, but it means they've got this articulation in both of these that is very easy to do because of how it's done, because they're using that kind of centralized approach. Alright, I'll say it, I'm a bit disappointed with this part of the build. Reason being, having built the deep space rocket, which had an absolutely exceptional launch command center, this is a bit mediocre. But I guess if they put anything else in this set, which was already not a cheap set, but they got a lot into this. They've got these nice slopes again. These are great, these windows. You know I used them on the they came with the launch command center, and I got a few more to actually expand it. So I like this feature here where you can spin this, which shows you the surface of Mars. I like this feature here, the surface of Mars. As you spin it round, the dish on top goes round as well, and it just shows you kind of the Martian surface there. I imagine this is supposed to be what the rover is seeing when it's there exploring. And then you get 3 of these unusual command panels on the black there. They're all 3 are the same, which is a shame. I would have liked to have seen a bit of variation in there, but it works, it's useful, looks nice. Otherwise there's not a lot to write home about in there. You've got the command center chair here, and just a sticker, lone sticker over here, just telling you it's launch control. So not a lot to write home about on that, as I said, but it's functional, it works, it's got a couple of nice parts in it, and I do like the dish feature here. I will be keeping that one for sure. Next, the rover bay. Now this is cool, there's loads going on here. We've got sliding doors on the front to start with, very smooth, very nicely done. Opens up, we can see that there's a ramp inside for the rover to go onto. Let's just put the rover in there so you can see it. Pretty steep ramp, good for testing its maneuverability on the Martian surface. Oh, didn't make it, just damaged a $2 million rover there. Whoops. If we look around here, you get a good tool set here, so all kinds of things to fix it, and a computer there just for doing the diagnostics on it. Now we've got an arm up here, which is obviously for going around and doing some work on the unit there. Very good articulation, covers the whole set. We've got a ramp on the back there for a gantry for the technicians to climb up onto to check things. And then there's a nice feature here. If you pull this, the whole thing just tilts up like that. Very nice, very smooth. A good feature. It would have been nice to have used a mesh or something underneath here so you can actually see up underneath, but I think that's a good play feature. I like it. I always like to see those kind of things in these sets. Otherwise, not a lot else to write home about in there, but I think that was that went together really well. I think that was a good build. I think there's a lot going on in that bit. And herein lies part of my problem with this set. It's too big for my review table. Here's the gantry crane. I'll just sort of show you. There's a few pieces like these tall support pieces there, make it nice and sturdy. I love how the crane is put together. Let's see if you can see this properly. Now let's get in there, see if it's going to focus properly for me. Now here's the actual runner here, and what they've done is they've put a couple of those grooved pieces along the edge there, and then used this grooved piece there in the center, and it works really, really well to provide a good stable base for it. That, yeah, it's not going anywhere. This whole thing is solid as a rock. That's one of the strongest gantry cranes I've seen in a Lego set. Otherwise, it took a fair bit to put that together. It's very sturdy, but otherwise not a lot to write home about other than this goes up and down, and they've added in an extra cog here you can see, which is on a blue Technic pin. Now those of you who don't know, the blue Technic pins have friction in them, so that means this doesn't just drop. It actually hangs there, otherwise it would just drop from the weight of whenever you put something on there, like say the rover. It would just drop, but it doesn't because of that. And you see it's actually very well balanced, that rover as well. But because of that extra cog there, it doesn't drop, which is a nice design feature, I think. So I think that gantry crane was unexpectedly good. I wasn't expecting it to be as good as that. Here you can see how this is supposed to work. We've got the lorry pulled up with the rover on there. The rover's loaded up on here. Our nice crane system pulls it up, moves it across, and puts it into the rocket like so. There we go, just load that in there. It's snug fit, but fits perfectly. There we are, there's our rover in there. Now, one thing you will notice is that this gantry crane does not move in the slightest, which is a little bit disappointing, but that's rigid as. So now that's in there, then this crane will come in and put the lid back on there. I'm not going to go through all the rigmarole of showing you how that works, but that's the gist of how that goes together. And last but by no means least, we have the Thunderbird-esque launch vehicle, and it's kind of like a cross between a mobile missile launcher and something from Thunderbirds. I'm not entirely sure why Lego went with this design. It's fun, I like it, but I would have liked to have seen it done in a way that it could work with something like the launch control set. But in terms of how this works, it's fairly standard that you can see the tracks move perfectly. Now the way that's done is there's actually two rubber wheels underneath each of these, which is what's gripping the ground. So as you pull it along, it makes the tracks go around. The actual launch vehicle itself is really rather cool. I like it. I mean, it's so ridiculously over the top for what it's doing, but I think it's really cool. I like the way they filled in the end pieces here as well, which is really nicely done. So this actually clips in. There's a Technic piece here that clips into the main bar that you can see behind it, and then there's a sticker for each of those. So there's a few stickers involved here, but only those ones there and one on the roof there. Interesting use of the roller coaster piece there. It kind of, yeah, they could have almost used ladders there, I guess, but they've gone with those roller coaster pieces. They don't really seem to symbolize anything. They're just sort of meant to look a bit structural, but don't really do anything in terms of actually lifting the rocket up. it's clipped in here using some single studs, and then you have to be a little bit careful, and you can see it tips up when you do that as well, which is not ideal, but there we go. You can see that there's one of the wheels in the middle there, and then that's the rocket, which is too big for my review table, but you get the gist of how it works. Interestingly, they've used a chair here because it's offset just enough to match up with the brick that's there, so that it just holds it in between these two and stops the whole thing rocking around. You know that rocket is heavy. That would be a lot for that to actually take, so it's good. It's pretty solid once it's there. You can see that one, and then it's all just clipped in here, so when you take that off, there's just two tiles there that everything clips into. Now, one thing I'm a little bit sad about is on the rocket that came with the Launch Control Center, in the middle of here, there's a gap which is designed to make it that when you lift the rocket up, the two pylons go outwards. So you can't actually use that with that tower because, one, it doesn't have that gap, so it won't sit properly, and two, the towers wouldn't work either. So I'm going to have a look and see if I can modify this to work with that. But you can see how it goes together. It's a ridiculously over the top vehicle, but it's really cool. I like it. It's unnecessarily over the top, and it works. The actual rocket itself, let's get this off the launch pad here. I'll show you the rest of this first. There's some interesting choices of colour. You can see how the rocket sits down there in the sled. This is a lot of weight in this rocket for it to hold, so I like the splashes of orange everywhere. They've kept this kind of blue, orange and grey theme going very, very well through this whole set, and the white. Not too much of the white, enough to keep it consistent, but it works. There's our actual transport vehicle. Let's just give it a quick spin so you can see a bit more detail on that one. Lift it up. Pretty substantial build. Not a lot to write home about in the cockpit here. Just a control panel. It would have been good to see a few extra bits of tooling, you know, in here. This is obviously meant to be the engine here. They could have put a bit more detail in there, but I guess the part count would have started to go up and up and up and up and up and up. And already this is not a cheap set, because there's a lot of stuff going on in here, as you've already gathered. Let's move this out of the way and have a quick look at the rocket. I've got to hold the rocket because I don't have a way I can fit it on the camera otherwise. You've got a shuttle on the end here. It's actually a two-seater shuttle, so you can take both bits off there, and there's room for our two astronauts in there. It doesn't look dissimilar to the satellite mini set I'll show you here. So it's not dissimilar, kept a similar theme, not quite as orange, a bit more kind of substantial. So obviously this one's meant to be, I guess, for launching, and this one's meant to be more for kind of orbital maneuvers. So, but I'll show you something I spotted on this one in a minute. In terms of the actual rockets, you've got the boosters down the bottom here. Now, I'm not sure if they're supposed to detach, but they all just come away. They're all just on Technic pins like that, so that's how they come away. Now, usually on these things that they're designed to detach from the main rocket, but this one doesn't have any other boosters, so I'm guessing they actually do stay attached the whole way till you hit orbit, and then there's going to be more of a boost down here. So if we take this apart here, there's no form of booster in there, which is a shame, because when you get to the top one here, everything's held together with these, dropping pieces, everything's held together with these studs because it's just too heavy not to. When you get to here though, there is actually a booster in there, so it's kind of fun. But you don't get that one on the middle one, unfortunately, which is a shame. Would have been good to see a booster there. This is the cargo pod, like I said, so there's our rover. Not a lot else to write home about on that one. We just put those clips back on. So yeah, it all just clips together. This is a substantial build. I will show you this. This is quite impressive how they did this one, because it's got this central spine here, and then the rockets are all, let's just detach this one here, so you can see how that all clips together. It's very neatly done. Very neatly done. And the rockets are actually slightly different. You notice these ones are two holes here, whereas these ones, that one of them has actually come slightly apart there. That's not supposed to be on there. Let's put that back together. Don't you love it when videos decide to fail on you like that one, the one time you take it apart? So as you can see, this one's slightly different because it's got the square pieces there. So I'm not sure why they didn't make all of them the same, but obviously there must have been a design reason to actually keep that separate. But yeah, put that back together. So it's a impressive build, and one thing I will actually show you as well is this is absolutely rock solid. They've used these bonnet piece. I could call it a bonnet piece. I don't actually know the technical name for it, but it's actually joins together perfectly. So everything here is held together with that one C-shaped piece there that actually clips on. I thought it was a very good build technique, so kudos to the Lego designer for giving it that extra bit of strength there, because this thing's so big it needs as much strength as it can. So there's our sort of the boost pod, and there's the actual bit with the rocket on it. So all modular. You can combine this with the other set. You can actually combine this with the space station if you want to. They all use this docking collar that you can see. I'm going to call it a docking collar, which is a cool piece. One thing I will show you though, as I was thinking about this, was this is actually designed for the crane to lift it up, but actually you can also clip this on there. It worked quite well. I like that. Kind of like secondary rocket. Something different. Sorry, going off tangent on the review. Let's get on to the minifigures. Here's our ground support team. We've got the two engineers here, one female, one male. Not a lot to write home about. Nicely printed. Both got their ID tags. Then we've got the lunar rover scientist here, who's got the outfit on, the full respiratory mask, protecting, make sure it doesn't contaminate the rover. And then we've got the scientist slash engineer over here, who's got her outfit and her laptop there, nicely printed. The most interesting figure of all of them. Got the pens and got the badge there as well. Around the back, got the nice headpiece there with the hair in it. I do like that piece. And again, we've got this one here with the hard hat and the hair as well. Not a lot to write home about on the backs though. They've just got kind of plain printing here. Again, nothing to write home about. No extra prints or anything on that. They're fairly basic figures, but they're nice. They serve their purpose. They're well printed. Each of them's unique. Here we have the rest of the minifigures. Our two astronauts, the main launch controller, and our robot, who I'm going to call Bob. The two astronauts have basically the same prints everywhere, different head pieces, different face pieces rather, but same out. Everything's the same on them. The controller here with his glasses and his cup of coffee, wearing his tie, looking very serious, kind of like a headmaster almost. And then we've got the robot. The robot steals the show here. It's very well put together. I like the use of this. I have no idea what the name of this piece is. It's like a grappling piece or something like that, but they've used it very effectively to offset the legs like that. It works really, really well and balances perfectly. Round the back, nothing to write home about on. He's nothing printed on the back, bar a little bit of a crease in his outfit, and that's it. Nothing else. Those are pretty basic and almost boring, but not boring, because they're astronauts and launch controllers and robots. I think the robot's really, really well done. My final thoughts on this set. As you can see from this, it's big. It's big. There's a lot in it. It's not a cheap set. There's a lot of playability in it. There's a few things I would like to have seen improved. I'd like to see some wheels on this. Would actually be beneficial for two reasons. One, you could move it, but two, it would just lift it up enough to make it a bit more comfortable working above the rocket. It's a little bit too close in my opinion. It could have been that little bit higher, would have made it that little bit better. It's a small niggle, but I think that would have helped. The launch vehicle itself, I like this. It's good, it's solid, but it could have done with some more things, like some tools or some panels or something like that to kind of lift it up. You know, there could have been like a control panel back here for actually raising the rocket, for example. There could have been some tools somewhere. I probably would have pushed the part limit too far, but I just feel like it would have just given that vehicle a bit more value than just being something that you push along and then lift up. There's not a lot else going on with it. The actual Rover Lab, I think, is a great build. I think that's fun. There's a lot going on in there. That's got a lot of fun features. I like that a lot. The actual launch control, again, like I said, it's got enough in it to add to this playset. This is a playset. We have to think of this as a playset, but compared to the Deep Space Rocket, massively disappointing. The Deep Space Rocket launch control was excellent. It's excellent. The actual rocket itself on this one, again, is good. It's not amazing, but it's good. I think compared to the Deep Space Rocket, personally I think the Deep Space Rocket is a better set in terms of what you get playability wise and value, but I think both sets are awesome and they both work together very, very well. So if you can get both, because it's a space set. Space theme is awesome. I will be getting more of the space sets over this year. I haven't bought them all yet, but I will be picking up the last few that I need to complete it, because I just love space, and that's what we're talking about here. This is man going back into space, going to Mars, going to the moon, going back into space, and that really, really excites me, and I'm glad I'm going to get to see that in my generation. Otherwise, I think this is a good set. I think it's fun. I think it's, you know, if you were going to get one set, I'd get the Deep Space Rocket. If you're going to get both sets, get this one. This just isn't as good, in my opinion. In terms of the value, it's a $230 set here in Australia. It's expensive. It's not a cheap set. Obviously, you know me, didn't pay that price. I paid $170 for this, which was a much more reasonable price. And would I recommend this set? As I said, this is a good set. I think the Deep Space Rocket is a better set than this one, but this is a good set. If you can get both, get both. If you're going to get one Deep Space Rocket, definitely. Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you agree with what I said? If you've got both sets, which one do you think is better? Do you agree with what I said, or do you think, actually, no, this one's better than the Deep Space Rocket? I will take the criticism on the chin and tell me what you think. I want to know. If you're new here, make sure you hit subscribe. I post regularly, and make sure you give this video a like, everybody. Let YouTube know you've enjoyed it, and if you feel like it, share it around, put it in some other places so other people can find my channel, find my reviews, and help support the GJBricks channel. Now, you can find me on other locations as well. Here's a list of some of the sites I work on. I post different content. I post photos and things like that on all of them. I do post slightly different content across all of them, especially my website and my Instagram feed. I tend to post photos. I tend to post other things by other users on those sites. Go and check them out. Now, here's a couple more videos I think you will enjoy. Thank you for watching, and I will see you again very, very soon.